All right, guys, chapter 18, the bump. Like you mentioned at the end of 17, Sonny gets home from his night out and he immediately knows something's wrong because the tipple is all lit up and it's normally not this late at night. And when he gets home, his mom's immediately like, "You can do whatever, you cannot go to the mine." Which is interesting because you kind of expect her to be upset about him being out until 2 a.m. But she's just like, "You can't go to the mine." And so what we find out is during the night, I believe the ventilators somehow got powered off. And in the chapter, it explains the details of why it happens. I'm not recalling the details. Do you remember why they were shut off? I feel like Sonny's dad made a mistake. The ventilators, that's what causes the bump.
Is it like a storm or something that caused it?
Like I don't know. See if you can find that. Because if I remember, Sonny's dad actually made a mistake.
The ventilation system?
Something.
I don't know. I'll have to.
But anyway.
Keep talking and I'll
okay. So basically, there has to be ventilation in these mine shafts because otherwise these flammable, explosive gases build up. And so what ends up happening is those gases build up, the ventilators are shut off, the gases build up, and there's a little mini explosion that causes a portion of the mine to collapse. They call that a bump. And they know it's bad. Like a bunch of people gather up there. So the doctor goes on there.
Struck by lightning. So lightning.
Okay.
Struck the fans.
And something was wrong with the generator.
Like, all the gases.
The gas. Okay. So lightning struck the fans, and that's what caused the fans to go out. And essentially, eventually the miners come out, they're dug out of the collapse. Of course, Sonny's dad goes down there to help. There's an accident and he ends up getting really hurt. He, totally hurts his eye, severely hurts his eye. Like there's a question of whether or not his eye will be okay. And there is a death. And as the kind of mining elevator comes up, they pull it out. There's like a man on a stretcher with a sheet over him, so they know. And Sonny is just watching. Sonny, by the way, goes up to the mine and watches all this unfold after his mom specifically told him not to go up there. Probably because she was worried Homer, his dad, had passed. Which he hadn't, thank goodness, just severely injured. But here was this one man, and Sonny's sitting there watching, and all the miners' wives kind of part, and all of a sudden, Miss Bykowski comes forward. And if you don't remember, Mr. Bykowski is the one who first helps Sonny with his weldings. And because he helps Sonny, Sonny's dad sends him back down into the mine, and Mr. Bykowski has passed away. The collapse got him, and he's now dead. And obviously that's very, very traumatic for Sonny because he feels like it's his fault that Bykowski's in the mine in the first place because, like I said, he was working in the shop and got moved to the mine because he was helping Sonny on company time. And then there's this really interesting moment at the end of chapter 18, and I want to read you just like this last little bit because, I don't know, I feel like it's powerful. So after watching all of this unfold, he goes up to the doctor. Well, first, his mom hands him his butt. Like, his mom chews him out, and she's like, "You're selfish. I told you to stay home. You didn't come up here to, help anyone. You came up here because you were curious," which is true. And then he goes up to the doctor, and he's like, "Doc, it's my fault. He was down there. I did X, Y, and Z." And the doc chews him out. He's like, "You can't be this soft in a town like this. Like, you got to toughen up." And then at the very end of the chapter, it says, "Then, as if some thief had snuck up behind me and robbed me of everything I had always believed to be right and holy, I felt a terrible thing. It took me by surprise, and I knew instantly it was wrong, but I couldn't do anything about it. The boy who raised his head and looked around at the ugly old mountains surrounding him seemed far different than the boy I'd been merely moments before. Perhaps my lips didn't curl into a sneer, but they could have. The worst thing I had ever felt in my life had taken control of me. I felt nothing." And it's really interesting. You think oh, he's going to say I felt terrible. I killed Mr. Bykowski, but he talks about feeling nothing. And I think all of this comes back to his mom's original reason for wanting to get him out of the town. In a town like this, terrible things have to be normalized. And he's starting to feel normal about someone dying in the mine, and he doesn't like that. So anyway, a really powerful chapter 18. Highly recommend you read it because the details are what make it beautiful.